A little bit of artistic license is allowed, I think. Just look at that detail. Well, I did say we were expecting snow, but yeah, come and look at some of this wood on my bald head. So I've got an Anubias mother plant here. Just cut out or cut a hole in these sections. Please don't fall rock. Oh, it's trying to. I should probably hold the rock, shouldn't I? And what I can do is take this. I've got my Velcro straps here. This is all theory. I don't know if this will work. So this tank here is my Malawi cichlid tank. Now I've had these fish for about a year and a half now, a year and a quarter, something like that. When we first got them, Matt and I, we got them when they were babies, not expecting them to be babies, but they were, and they've grown up so much since then. So I did this particular scape about 6 months ago, and at the time, the fish was still quite small. Now there was only one male in the group because they sort of change as they go, which is weird. But I put them into storage tanks whilst I was building this, and it sort of reset the hierarchy. And when I moved them back in, more males started appearing, which is great, but then they get really, really big and they can be aggressive as well. I don't really see any fighting amongst them all, but I think that's because we've got so much places for them all to hide and scatter. But yeah, I built this tank with like a theme in mind, and there is a lot of hardscape in there. There is way too much room taken up by that massive piece of wood that's under the water and coming out the top. This tank needs to change because the fish are bigger now. Yeah, so these pieces of wood coming out the water are all one piece, and they're connected all the way down to here. So it's a huge, good 1/3 of the tank taken up by just one lumpy piece of wood. It does act as refuge around the back and everything like that. But yeah, we can do something that's a bit more open for them, a lot more space. There will be less plants. You can see that these fish don't seem to be bothered by plants at all. These are all growing really well. And in fact, I've just trimmed it back because there was way, way more. So now here comes the drama part of the bit. Well, it's not really drama, but basically I don't have anywhere to put all these bigger fish, like just for a longer period of time. But what I do have is a massive bucket. I can put them down in that for the time being, and then I can do the build nice and quickly. Now we're doing a hardscape predominantly tank. I'm going to put some plants in there as well because I know they're good with them. But those are generally quite fast to do anyway, especially now that I've done them a lot of times. So what I'm going to do is drain the water out into the bucket, put the fish in there, take everything out nice and quick, and then rebuild. But to do that in the most time-effective way, I need to have everything available for the build right here. Right, so we drain down all the water. Sometimes it's so much easier to do that, especially with these kind of fish, they are fast. So drain down the water, I can scoop them up a lot easier. We have got quite a lot in here, not too much I'd say, but I would not want them in this bucket for longer than, 6 hours we're going to be building this tank for. They'll be absolutely fine in there for now. But next job now is just to take out all of this substrate and clean the whole tank, the most boring part of any build. It's always better when you get a new tank, you can just start, but yeah, needs must. I've done this so many times now that went super fast, so really on target for doing everything we need today. I've even tidied up, which usually I don't, I just sort of trip over everything, but I'm fed up with doing that. So yeah, everything's tidy, clean, ready to go. First thing we're going to need to do in the tank, I think, is decide on the hardscape. So I need to just get it all out and yeah, see what we've got. So I want to try and keep this tank relatively realistic, and I've been doing some research online, look at some YouTube videos and stuff from Lake Malawi, where the fish are from, underwater scenes, and it's really interesting composition actually. Piled up rocks, so some areas are graded out into a fine sand in the foreground, so I'm going to stick with that. But I also want some branches coming up as well, which you don't really see in the middle of the lake, but let's assume we're near the edge, all right? A little bit of artistic license is allowed, I think. So these are the rocks down here that I've just taken out. Dragonstone, I don't want to be using them again. It looks nothing like what the lake has. I've got some really interesting rocks down here. This is elderly stone, I think it is, or elephant skins, one of those. All of these rocks are from Aquarium Gardens, and these are the ones that Dave brought to me recently as well. I want to use these. Oh, I've got some amazing ones outside. Yeah, I've got these absolute beasts here. It's so cold out here today. Look at this. We've got ice due to snow later as well. But yeah, got those beasts as the main focal points, you know, in the tank. So we've got like a lot of heavy rocks potentially going in here. Now, usually it's not a problem because you can put the rocks on top of your sand and that's going to distribute the load. Well, with cichlids like Malawi cichlids and even Mbuna cichlids, they like to dig and get things churned up. Plus, we've got catfish in there as well, the cyanodontist catfish. So if you put the rocks on the sand, eventually they'll dig it out and you could get an absolutely big catastrophe on your hands, especially with that weight. So you've got to put the rocks on the glass or on something else. So I've got a bit of sponge we can put down first for the heaviest pieces of rock, and then we can build the sand up around it. So usually you want to start with your biggest stones now, just because you find it easy to get a good composition. But I want the bigger stones in the highest points. So I'm going to start off with smaller stones and then use stones that aren't on, I said stones a lot of times, use like more grey stones at the back that you're not going to see. They're also going to be caves for the fish. So I'm going to be building like a labyrinth, if you like, with the stones I want to see at the front and then the bigger ones on top. Right, so I'm going to put the sand in now because this polystyrene or foam matting, which won't hurt the fish at all, will float though, but we're pinning it down. It looks awful on camera. So I've got pool filter sand here. It's already clean, and I'm just going to dump it in. I have got more, which I'm going to go and collect in a minute, but I just want to get some rocks in first. Oh, okay, so I'm just going to sort of dust it around a little bit. Like I say, I've got a whole nother bag of it, so we're going to have plenty. But I want to fill in the rocks and then build the sand up around it and push it into crevices and things. With the cichlids, they put the sand wherever they want, so it kind of doesn't really matter. I'll put it in nice little areas to start with, but they dig out crevices and everything like that. But yeah, okay, we've got a base. Now, I've stupidly laid all the rocks out in front of me, which is good to choose from, but I keep tripping over them. But I'm just laying in some non-decorative rocks at the moment, just for the actual rocks we want to be able to sit on. You can see they're quite dull and boring, and I'd rather be using them as like plinths than, you know, actual showy off rocks. I mean, they work quite well for river looks, but you know, that's not what we're kind of doing this one. We're doing uniform boulders. In fact, I think I'm gonna push it a little bit more over to the center, not dead center, because our eyes don't tend to like symmetry in nature. I've got to pick one of the big rocks now, and I like the horizontal lines on this one, but I want them coming forward in the tank. This piece looks epic, but so does this one. I think this is cooling out to be the main stone. Just look at that detail. All right, let's just go for it. Sometimes you just got to get in there and get going, and you can always adjust. A pain with big rocks, but God, it's a beast. Right. So I can use the back of the aquarium to balance as well. Just make sure there's not like a pressure point on it. Give it a tap. I mean, that looks awesome. Oh, I just tripped over. So what's good here, and I feel like I've kind of nailed it straight away, is that we're quite close to the top of the aquarium, but not all the way at the top, which is great. It's like giving a 3D effect, but look at the tunnels underneath. That's exactly what we want. Some people are worried about like detritus and stuff building up in those areas, but it's fine. We've got all the cyanodontist catfish down there. There's going to be high flow in the tank. Yeah, I'm just going to keep going now. So Steph, my camera guy, has just made a good point. He said that why don't we try twisting it? Because you know you don't know unless you try. So let's try twisting it the other way, because it's kind of floating in exactly the same line, which is not really what we saw too much of in the lake. So try that. It might not work, it might work. I think it instantly looks a bit more natural, like it's sort of fallen that way. That's a good shout. So a bit of a shame, we're not gonna, decided not to use this rock. Just, it's beautiful, but it's completely different to the other two, like completely different. And it's gonna take up even more of the swim room. We've got two really big rocks in there now, and like, I feel like we can use all the smaller rocks to create the look of bigger ones, but still have all of the hiding places and, you know, territories and things like that. So I think smaller rocks for the win in the size aquarium that we've currently got. Yeah, really happy with that. That looks to me very similar to the stuff that we're seeing on the video. You can't overthink it. When you look at some of the shots, it just looks completely random, odd shapes, put in random ways, and that's what we've sort of tried to create. I kind of think it looks even better than that. Now, I do want to add a few detail stones and things coming out into the foreground. Not many though. They were really tight to the rocks that we saw on video, so I'm going to try and stick to that. So we've either got these here, which is actually from Rio Xingu River in South America, so not too realistic. Or we've got the Wio decor here, and I think the colours sort of match a little bit better, and they're a bit more bulkiness to them, so I think they're probably the best, even though it says stream. Yeah. Or of course we've got the darker ones, which are slightly bigger, and then smaller ones as well, so you can sort of mix and match. It's going to be a tough one to choose, actually. Or we've got the really dark ones, which I think that's, no, too dark. There's also these pieces, but they're quite jaggedy. I don't know, it's such a tough decision. They might be the best shout. Now, I was about to put the accent stones in, but I've actually not got enough sand. I need to go and put the sand in first, or this is just going to be buried when I put some in. So I've got the sand, but I've just remembered something. Before I put anything else down, I actually want to push back a lot of it, because we've got this ridge here of the polystyrene, and I want to cut around so that it's not like completely on show, because they're going to dig around it and it would just expose it very easily. So if I just sort of cut around each piece so it's a bit tighter to the rocks, it'll just be better and more long lasting. Right, now we can add in our detail stones. Let's have a little look. They're quite grey. Yeah, scratch that. Okay, slightly different colour tone. Give these a go. Might be good. I think it works a lot better. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. Or, just to make sure, I've got one more option. These are more rounded though, but the colours, I think these ones definitely, actually, these look far more varying in colours, a bit too many sort of pinks and stuff. Go with these. So when you're doing this, you want to just place it near and let it fall however it wants. Chuck some up to, what's that? Bit of paper. Get out. Yeah, sort of just let it fall naturally. They're going to move it however they want it, but oh, that matches perfect. And I don't want too many, because there is lots of open sandy areas as seen on our research. It's just a little bit of detail. So I'm really happy with that hardscape as it is. Like, that would be perfect, I think, for less fish, if you like, but I want more territory. So I'm gonna add in some wood, sweeping the opposite way to the stones, which isn't what we've seen, but like I say, I just wanna zhuzh it up a bit. Well, I did say we were expecting snow, but yeah, come and look at some of this wood. I mean, we've got lots of thick pieces, it's not really what I asked after, but over here I've got some of this. Oh, this is gonna work a treat, isn't it? Yes. I can make a proper bush coming out, whatever angles I want. Done. Oh, my bald head. Right, so what I like about this stuff, look at that. We can keep it going. The angles of the wood, it's gonna lock in. Oh, I love it already. That looks so cool and natural. There's a lot of wood here, but I do want to be able to create some cool bushes that come up the wood and out of the water. Some areas might need a little bit of glue in. And also don't mind creating a little bit of shade under the light as well, because they are very bright lights. They are going to cause algae on the rocks, but I kind of want that. It looks great. Give this one a go. It might be one too many. It does give me more of a structure to use for plants to go on. I'm talking out of water plants here and in the water, because then you've got more of a bush there and you've got more rock there. Sometimes when you just move around the aquarium, it can look completely different. Right, and now we can build up some wood even higher, but we've got big gaps in between them as caves, like that. Not only will that hold, you know, some of the wood down, but it's created a nice big caved area that they'll use. We're just creating territories, more territories. And what's cool now, everything's sort of, that one's not quite locked in, so I just need to find a perfect point that'll lock itself, maybe a little rock there, one rock on there. Nothing needs to be glued, it can all be moved around as needed. And it's always good when you don't have to use glue, not a single bit of glue. Nature doesn't use glue. We're making like a natural style tank, so yeah. I like just chilling for this shot, I don't know why. So that's all, everything's locked in, we've put enough rocks in, nothing's moving. Now we can add a few plants. I want basically to, as you go further up the sticks, the plants to get more dense, because coming out the top here, I want loads and loads of plants, like peace lilies. We've got some tanks I'm gonna be breaking down soon, so I want to transfer them across. But to start with, Anubias. So I've got an Anubias mother plant here. This should yield pretty much everything I need. I've got another one if I need it though. So we've got to prepare the plants first, which is easy. Just pull off the rock wool, nice and simple. God, there's a lot in here. There we go, keep the roots. Now I find an easier, oh, there we go. Got a couple of plants, which is perfect. I find the easiest way to get this rock wool off of here is to use a fork. Okay, so yeah, you just take your fork, just run it along, look, and you can keep all the roots intact then, but still take out all the rock wool. Obviously the rock wool has been pumped full of nutrients when it was at the plant farm, so it's still going to have a load of that in there. So we don't really want that in our tank. And get as much of it off as you can. You know, don't worry if there's a tiny bit still left on each root, but yeah, just get most of it off. So we've got 2 decent sized plants there. That is massive. We don't need it that big. So as long as you snap it on the rhizome, which is the part that all the leaves like sort of grow out of, then it'll just continue to grow. And it will send out even a longer rhizome, and more plants will grow as well. So there's a nice plant. There's quite a lot there in that one piece. So snap it in the middle, get rid of any dead leaves. You don't want them. You don't start the tank with dead leaves here. And then it'll just send out new, fresh ones. Cool. So what's quite good about this woodlet is we've got plenty of crevices where we can attach our Anubias in. Means we don't have to use glue again, yay! I mean, there's nothing wrong with using glue, it's just a pain having to do it. I mean, like that's gonna need some glue, or that is not gonna stay there. I don't know. Probably just glue it to the back a little bit. Then a nice big one over this side. Where's a good gap? See a good gap there. Now hopefully, because the fish have been in with quite a lot of plants, they won't even be bothered. They won't try and pull these out. And if they do though, I can go back and glue them. Quite like the way that's sitting on the rock. So that's literally all the planting I want to do, just to show that it's sort of transitioned into the top part. But I think it's really simple, really effective. It looks good. The fish are going to stand out like crazy because we've just got the black, we've got the grey from on the rocks, which will actually be a bit more punchy when the water's in there as well. But yeah, I think we're about there at the moment. I want to fill this tank up now with dechlorinated water. It's already to temperature, it's already been prepared. You fill it right up and put the fish in straight away, and then we can make adjustments. I just don't want, it's been a good 6 hours now. I've changed the water out once that they're in already, but I just want to crack on and get them back in. It's just they're bigger fish in a small area, so the oxygen in the water is going to run out quite quickly. So let's get them back in, get it filled up first, obviously. Don't want to put them in a dry tank. Right, we are filled up. It's a little bit murky, a little bit bubbly. A lot of that is actually air bubbles. But it's looking really good. There's a little bit of surface scum, so I've got a surface skimmer in the corner just doing its job. But there's no time to waste. It's all of the right temperature, I've checked. I'm gonna get the filter on, and obviously we have had the filter off for not long at all, so all the beneficial bacteria that's down here and in the filter will be absolutely fine, and it means that the fish can go straight in. Okay, filter going on. Is it on? Yep. There we go. In fact, just because there's some surface scum, I'm just going to raise the outlet a little bit. Oh no, I can't, it's fully extended. That's fine. So currently the lighting is incredibly bright, but sadly you can't tone these down. I'm sure there's some sort of adapter thing, but I haven't got that. So what I will be doing is pushing them back slightly, the lights, and when we've got the plants at the top, it will diffuse them a little. So for the time being, it's going to be a little bit bright, but it always looks brighter when you've got all these air bubbles in anyway. But there's no time to waste. The fish need to go in. The amount of fish here are okay to go straight in. Oh, their colours are so much better. So much better already. Okay, calm down, guys. There is absolutely tons of spaces for you in there. They'll get more relaxed the more we put in, so I'm going to keep going. This is actually the least stressful way of doing this. Just get them all in the net and just put them in. They're going to hide for a little. Oh, the blues. Popping like crazy. Some more males and that in here. So nice. Got a catfish. Literally looks like there's nothing in the tank now. But they'll get comfortable. You're going to see them loads. It's quite funny. Like, I felt like there was a lot of fish, but you can barely see them now, which is good. It means we're giving them an absolute ton of territories. But I want to clear up some of this sand, so I'm going to put some AquaClear in, turn the lights off, and then come back tomorrow, and it should be looking fantastic, and we can add our extra additions, which, you know, I'll keep that surprise. Right, it's the next day, and it is clear. It's very bright. Quite a lot of the fish are out. We've just come up to the tank, so look, but all of the fish are using the caves. These guys are always brave. Yeah, so just before I left last night, I added in this little filter, just got a load of fine filter floss in, just to help, you know, clear the water. I can see this morning they've been digging because there's particles, but that's fine. I didn't even clean the sand, did I? So this level's pretty good. Take that out in a minute. But as I'm sure you just saw in the last shots, these lights are way too bright. Now, I've potentially got a solution I've come up with because they can't be dimmed, which is so annoying. I've got some mesh that's like 50% light will get through that I'm going to put over the end. Now, these aren't hot at all. I can touch them all day. We can have them on and touch them. And the fans get air in from the side. So yeah, I'm just going to go over that with the mesh. That's going to arrive later. But in the meantime, I want to put our plants in the background section now and slide them back a bit. And that might be enough. We'll see, because currently the tank is getting kind of a bleached out look because even the shadows are lit. So it kind of looks like too bright, even brighter than midday sun in a lake, because it looks like we're at the surface, we're not even deep. Some of the male bally eyes that come out, they're just hiding at the moment, but their colours are like I've never seen them before. Hopefully we'll get to look at that. Right, I just want to see how the tank is going to look with a superfish light. They're not as bright, and we have got a lot of wood in the way, but just to put it up temporarily, I can adjust if it looks good, I can adjust the wood. So here we are with the current lights, and then here we are with the superfish one. Okay, already, it's a completely different colour tone. Right, I'm going to try and get them all to come out, so I'm going to put some food in the water, because I want to see the colours of the fish properly. Obviously these ones, they've never got that much. Female bally. There's the male coming at the end. Look at that. Look at that, I've never seen his colours that good. And the other one's coming out. Yeah, there's so many more in there than you actually think, isn't there? This is much better for filming, but I don't know, it's a tough one. I definitely like the other lights better, we're just gonna dim them down. So we just switched back to the other lights and we put some black strips on it. We're gonna come to it in a minute. But we moved the filter up to create shimmer, and there's crud on the water, so that's gonna clear it. And whilst that's happening, I'm gonna be breaking down this tank soon, both of these tanks actually, because something else is going here. But I wanna keep all the peace lilies in the top and transfer them over. Now I could just ram them in gaps, but I don't want them to sit too low. So I'm gonna make some little clips for them to go on, and then we can put them exactly where we want them then. So down in these drawers, I'm gonna need that as well, the Dremel, and I've got some little clips. So what I've got here is like lid lips. They go on the edge of the tank, and then you can slide a lid in. Well, I don't need a lid. I just keep the water level the right amount, but I can just cut out or cut a hole in these sections, and then the roots can go through them, and we can clip them wherever we want on the lip of the aquarium. I always like to use the right tool for the job. Et voila. So now it's just a case of taking these plants out of this tank. Now, there's going to be a lot of roots in here, so it's going to be difficult. Please don't fall, rock. Oh, it's trying to. I should probably hold the rock, shouldn't I? It's probably easier if I just trim away a load of the roots to free this, because I don't need this many roots anyway. There we go. Look at that. Right, I'm just going to go along now, take off all the bad leaves, because now that they're exposed, then we can attach it to where that stick comes up around the stem areas with some Velcro straps. So this was a whole plant, but as you can see, it's also not. It sends out like extra ones. So I basically want 3 in total to start with, because we've got one still in the tank that's smaller. So we've got 4 in total now. And what I can do is take this, I've got my Velcro straps here, and probably 2 will work, doubled up. I could just use the long one. Place them together, wrap it around, leave a little bit of slack so it can hook onto the cane that we've added. And now we can slot it in exactly where we want it, if I can get it hooked, like this. This is all theory. I don't know if this will work, so hopefully it's going to. Yes, we have a plant. Right, it's now the next day, and as you can see, everything is cleared up beautifully. Look at how happy the fish are. That is the best thing I've noticed about this whole scape, is that they're all out. Look at them. Well, not all of them. There are more than that. One of the things I'm liking most about the whole scape is the use of the caves, and also the upper area where all the anubias is as well. All the fish have been using all areas, which is absolutely brilliant. I was expecting them to use the rocks, of course, but they have been using that sort of fringe area at the top as well. And the good thing is, the fish are already comfortable with me. I was expecting them to be a little bit more shy, but within a day they've just got used to the tank and they're ready for feeding as soon as I come to the front again. I'm actually seeing the males a lot more in this tank as well. Look at that beauty. Wow. And because the plants have been moved from a tank already, they're completely converted to being underwater, and they just look really, really good. Oh, by the way, to prepare the plants, guys, it's very, very simple. You just buy them in the pots, take off all of the soil, wash it all off, and then plonk them in. It's as simple as that. Nothing else is required. The roots will continue to pull in nutrients from the water column, lowering your nitrates and just keeping everything perfect. I mean, technically, it's all extra filtration on top of the canister filter. Yeah, I'm massively happy with how things have turned out. I managed to keep the essence of the rock work, just like what I was seeing in the footage of the underwater lake in Africa. And I do think tying in the anubias and the peace lilies above the water has been done in such a way that it's not too intrusive on the bottom section. You kind of got 2 sections of the tank, a purist area, which I think represents the lake really well, and then a decorative area, you know, a bit more pleasing to the eye. I just absolutely love having plants coming out the top of the tank. I just think it makes it look way, way bigger, far more sort of realistic, and is massively beneficial to the tank's overall health as well. So it's like a win-win. It's quite funny actually, because creating rock work that looks like it's naturally just fallen in is a lot harder than you think. You'd think if you just chuck some rocks in a tank, some gravel and sand, that would be perfect. But I've done that before and it just doesn't look as good as placing it with a little bit of thought. You can overthink it, of course, but I was careful in this one not to make it too aquascapey, you know, following rules of thirds and things like that. No, that's not what we're going for here. That big, massive boulder on the right there really stands out, a nice rock face awesome caves underneath it. You've got to think more about the caves, which means sometimes you have to ruin the look of the tank. Well, actually, no, not ruin, that's the wrong word, but you have to adapt the look of the tank to facilitate the fish themselves. And this is by far the best behavior I've seen from the fish. They're backwards and forwards, in and out of the caves, less spooked by me as well, because they feel so comfortable that they've got their places of refuge in an instant. And yeah, massively proud of this one. I think it looks great. I should also point out that we switched out the lighting. The other lights that are on here were casting too much of a pure white light. And in my opinion, it was spoiling the look we were going for. We need that slight warmer yellowy tone, African sun beating down through, and the other lights just seem to bleach all of the color out. And this is far more realistic. I think so anyway. The colouring on the fish is also great as well. Even the bally eye, once they come out, I'm going to put some food in a second and you'll see their colours. Right, here we go. You ready? Come on then, little tap, very gentle tap. Lets them know there's food coming, look. Look at that, look at the colours now. Here you go, guys. There are still all the cynodontists in here. They are hiding currently. We will see them at some point, but they take a little bit more time just to get used to the... Oh my goodness, there's a baby. So those fish you can see there are 100% babies. I mean, they're almost, well, probably slightly smaller than the original ones I put in well over a year ago. So, oh, that's cool. They've been breeding. I did notice a few smaller ones when I scooped them up, but didn't pay too close attention because I was keen on getting them back into the bucket. And then when I put them in, they went and hid straight away, but now they're coming out. I think I made out 2 of them just then. But yeah, look at that tiny little diddler, obviously grown up in the previous setups. So that's really cool. And there's one thing you can normally be sure of. If your fish are breeding, they're healthy and enjoying their setups. So they're probably going to breed even more in this one. That's awesome. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this build. I've really enjoyed it. If you feel like I've earned a subscribe, that would be great. It's free for you guys. So yeah, just click the subscribe button and hopefully I will see you on the next one.